I've had a lot more opportunities than some people in like a rural setting would have.
And like there's just access to unlimited sources.
Everybody's moving and there's no stagnation.
For the career that I want to go to, there are so many places.
New York is just one of those places that there's endless opportunities. There really are. There's always something going on. So if I'm ever bored or wondering like what could I be doing right now, I can always go out and try something new. And there's always opportunities to go and just learn new things, even if it's just going to new places. I'm from Texas, so I already know what it's like to be from a state that has very closed-minded, conservative, one-sided kind of views. Coming to New York, everything's so liberal, and I'm just really glad that there's no like mixing of religion and education necessarily. Everything's very open-minded, and I think that I've gotten a lot more benefit out of it than if I had gone to a smaller school or anywhere in the country. In a rural setting, it's almost like you're not around other people, so you have no idea what's going on. And for the most part, there's not as much diversity, so people all tend to think the same way, and it can get very, I think, lethargic. I'm a film major, so I think that I have a lot more than I would in Houston. And the fact that I live on Long Island means that I'm not too far from the city, and I could actually go and intern at places in the city and then just live on campus. It's actually a class that I could take, or it fulfills credits, is I could have multiple internships in the city in my major, which is really nice. I don't think I could be in the film industry, work in the film industry successfully if I wasn't living in a city. I go to Hofstra University and I live in Hempstead, and it's Long Island, but it's not the nicest place because there's frequently, robberies and break-ins and things like that off campus. But my campus I feel safe on. I always make sure that I always go with people. I've traveled alone before, but it was always during the day. And I always make sure that at least someone has a working phone, because you cannot afford to have your phone die if you're out in the city at night. I like the city, I like being in it. I don't think I could live anywhere but a city, but the pollution's awful. There's so much crime, people litter, it's very cramped, so everywhere you look, there's people, there's cars, there's trash, there's grime. Mass transportation is really useful, I think, especially because it's really hard to have a car in the city, in New York City at least. But, I mean, mass transit saves you a lot of money too, every year, because you have to pay for like insurance, gas, you have to pay for your car and any repairs. And mass transit it's like $2.50 for a subway ride, but it's also a lot slower, it's very crowded. If it breaks down, you don't really have any other options. I don't know, it has a lot of pros and cons, but I'm glad that we have it available to us because you can't have a car in the city really. If I'm not living in New York when I'm older, I'm gonna live probably in California. So, I mean, another big city somewhere, probably LA, and it'll be right in the hub of where I can get a job in some sort of film industry.
I'm going to be a writer and an actress, and well, it's New York City, so there's a lot of acting opportunities, and there's definitely a lot of writing opportunities too because of magazines and everything. I'd want to probably write an editorial section, and I also want to be a novelist, and all the big publishing companies are in the city. so that definitely makes it much easier. Acting does not take place in a setting in which you can't grasp at several different opportunities at once. You need to have a lot of different directions where you can go. Whereas if I were in a rural setting, I'd be like, oh, well, this looks like it's the only opportunity, I guess I'm gonna have to do it. A rural area is very grounded in the way that it doesn't change without a lot of effort. And something like this is ever changing and it doesn't even try to, it's just natural. Everybody's moving and there's no stagnation. I have a side job. I help people edit things, so they'll pay me for that, and they'll pay me for like advice on their writing stuff because that's what I want to go into. Also, I'm trying to get a job in school. It's really hard. A lot of my financial stability comes from my parents. Everything is overpriced. Makes me really upset because I know that it's difficult to make a living in a city and the prices only make it more difficult. And it doesn't make any sense because everybody comes here and spends, and the city has a lot of money, everybody has a lot of money, but no, ugh. I'd love to go to shows and movies and comedy shows, like anything live, it would be awesome. Anything that has to do with holidays, or like there was a haunted house and I wanted to go so bad and I would have. And when I get old enough, the nightlife is going to be the world to me. Because I'm a creature of the night, I don't deal with daytime. You don't have enough time to do what you want to do, ever. Because there's always so much to do that sometimes it gets overwhelming and you feel like you're not living up to the expectation of, if you have the opportunity to live in a city, you should take advantage of it in every way. Like if you want to do something new, there's always something out there.
One of the great things about living in a city, and more specifically New York City, is that even if it's not the capital of the United States, it's the capital of the world. And like, you can find anything there. Like, if you ever will to find it, you're gonna find it. And like, there's just access to unlimited sources. And if I lived in a rural area, I feel like that would, not now anymore, since we're in a more modern age, but it would still kind of diminish my chance of doing anything film related. Having access or living to the city is like the greatest thing that you can do for certain jobs. The city is basically just one office, just like a giant office building. And then like there's always somebody who has contact with somebody else, so you can always find a job opportunity somewhere if you really search hard enough. The basic cost of living in a city is absolutely ridiculous. Like, if you go to any other state, or rural area for that matter actually, like rent is super cheap, but then you go to the city and it's crazy expensive. For me, to be able to buy things myself, to have like my own luxury things, my parents aren't rich, in fact they're pretty broke. So I have to like go out and work myself, and I work part-time job on the weekends as a photography assistant, but that's the only way I can actually get money. Like my parents sometimes give me a little money, but they can't afford it to do it. They have to worry about themselves, worry about the rent, and then worry about how we're gonna pay college loans. So if I want anything, I have to work for it myself. For the last 7 years, I've been growing up in Bushwick, and when I first moved to Bushwick, it was pretty sketchy neighborhood at night. Like you wouldn't really go out past 11 or 12. But since then, there's been a huge cleanup of the city, and since like 4 or 5 years ago, it's been really safe. And like now, it's like a super booming neighborhood. I feel like if I were to grow up in a more rural area, or suddenly move to a more rural area, life would become really hard for me as a film major. I have a friend who is in his 35s now, but when he grew up, he lived in a rural area, and wanting to do film was something that was impossible. It was just something that was unheard of. You would just do basic town jobs. You wouldn't really go out and adventure on your own.
For the career that I want to go to, there are so many places. Like my last internship last year over down in Columbus Circle, the ABC building, there are a lot of places around there. But at the same time, searching for those jobs is extremely competitive. Well, right now, I am an administrator over at a real estate office down in Cobble Hill, but I also do some marketing for them on social media. But I'm looking towards a career in production or in journalism as of right now. Since I went to St. Francis right up the block, at the time, and they still do, like the classrooms had an intimate setting, So instead of going to CUNY City University or SUNY State University of New York, over in St. Francis, the small class sizes actually help, and the professors will actually take time one-on-one to help each student out. You know, depending on the school that you go to, like over at St. Francis, once again, they have the Career Center, and they will also help you out with their career choice, have meetings with you, help you in your search for job searching and how you should go about it as a student before you graduate and after. I live here anyway, so I actually have a friend, my friend James, who lives down in Roosevelt Island. He'll tell me about all these places, and since he's a playwright trying to make his own company, he'll tell me about all the theater districts, all off-Broadway, on Broadway, all these museums that he goes to, Museum of Moving Image, or somewhere in the Museum of Modern Art. And I have, he actually encouraged me to go to the Paley Center, and I have a membership, so I can go anywhere I want. All I have to do is show my Paley Center pass. Yeah, it's the typical tourist spot, but you know, since we live here, you know, why not? We might as well have fun while we're here and while we live here.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep and find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap.